Welcome to the Entertainment Rants podcast, your number one source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola and his fellow ranters as they sound off on the latest movies, TV, and the world of entertainment. Now, here are your ranters for the hour, Marco, Mila, Larry, and Bruno.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants podcast. I am, as always, your host, Marco Mazzola, and we are brought to you by the Subculture Podcast Network. You can find us online at bio.link/subculturepod network. All right, let's go around the room and say hello to our ranters. Hello, Mila.
Ew.
Hello, Larry.
Hey.
And the man with the choice. Hello, Bruno.
We'll show them. We'll show them all.
Awesome. We are in today, gang. We are talking about Arcane, now streaming on Netflix. This was Bruno's choice, so I'm going to let Bruno give us the tale of the tape on Arcane, give us sort of a rundown, and then we'll go into detail.
It's basically an origin story for Jinx as a character within the game. If you've never played, so it's based on the game League of Legends, which is like one of the biggest in the world right now, or something like that. But you don't actually have to know anything about the game. You don't have to play the game at all to appreciate. Yeah, no, I hadn't either, to be honest.
I had dabbled.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be pretty good, but you don't have to have any exposure whatsoever to watch the show and understand everything that's going on. But it's essentially an origin story of like the Jinx character and a bunch of the characters, but it's primarily about this girl, these two sisters, Vi and Powder, who, lose their parents, and then they've got sort of a surrogate dad in Vander who basically, helps them as best he can. And the story is it's a tragedy. But it's basically like Tale of Two Cities, where you've got, Piltover is the main rich part of the city, and then what they're calling Zon, which is like the underground city. And it's the struggles between those two. There's politics, there's character development, there's, development of tech, and it just goes from there.
Sort of a marriage of magic and tech.
Yeah, it's magic through tech with the hex tech stuff. It's just incredibly well done.
Awesome. I love it. That was a good tale of the tape. I like that one.
True.
All right, let's go around the room and just give your overall opinion over the show. Let's start with Larry. It's always good to start that way. Thank you, Larry.
Sure. All right, overall, it wasn't bad. I feel that we're definitely going to see things on different planes for this particular show, because I think that the three of you see it for different reasons than I do. I like a good-looking show. That's not my main thing. I don't need it to be a crazy great story. I feel that you guys are going to look at it and go, oh my God, this is amazing because of the drawing or the animation. And I'm like,
don't yuck my yum.
Huh?
Don't yuck my yum.
I'm not trying to see, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. For me, right? Because that's what this is all about. It's me.
Yeah, for me.
This opinion here.
Larry's new to the podcasting world.
Yeah.
Throw shit around while we're doing it.
I know. All right. So overall look to it reminded me of Final Fantasy X meets Disney. That's the aesthetics of it. Story, meh. It was kind of mid. It's the same. They actually mock they mock it when he takes her down to the lake and she's like, yeah, I know, you've already told me the story. Yeah. You and your brother, you have a falling out, whatever. You guys change sides, whatever. So it's like they almost like kind of mock it because that's what's happening now with the two sisters. We've seen the story already. The story for me was kind of mid. I don't know, man. This wasn't bad. This is a show that, if it wasn't for the podcast, I wouldn't have watched the whole thing and the speed that I did. It's like we were just talking about, like, as far as animation, like when I watch anime, it's like the first couple episodes, I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, nah, then I kind of fall off of it. For me, the first couple episodes, I needed to take me in so I can watch the rest of it. It didn't. I would
like by the end of episode 3, you weren't drawn in.
No. Wow. No, man, I really was. And I was like, yeah, I'm
You're a
kind
robot.
No, I just... it literally took to the last episode for me to go, and now I'm going to be honest, if we don't have to do a podcast for season 2, I probably won't watch season 2.
We're doing one on every season.
Cool, but I'll binge it the last weekend. I mean, yeah, for me, it was kind of just a mid-show. I mean, there was certain parts of it that I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's kind of balls, but it took too long to get to where it got to. Because again, like the ending, I was like, holy shit! But it's the last episode. You would have lost me somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't think I would have finished watching this. So it's kind of where I'm at with this.
Right. Mila, how about you?
I thought it was so cool.
I know.
I was like, oh my God. I was not expecting... Like, I was expecting it to be good, you know, because I hear, oh my God, Arcane's like super cool. It's really good. League of Legends. And I go, wow, super cool, League of Legends. All right, game, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so when I went into it, I had known it was League of Legends. I have played it before with friends. I never played it that much. I know the base mechanics of it. I had heard of Jinx, because Jinx is the most popular character of any of the games.
Yeah, she's
essentially
only one game, but still. The Harley Quinn equivalent.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off. That was another part. Dude, fucking figured out she was Harley Quinn. I was like,
no, she wasn't though. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why later.
Go on.
In her defense, Jinx's character, even in the games, is always like this. Like, she's always been written as, like, crazy bomb addict.
Which is why this is essentially her origin story.
Right, yeah. So, like, I saw her and I did go, like, I did have the thought of, like, kind of like Harley Quinn, but I was also like, yeah, but she's been like this throughout the entire game, you know?
But you've played the game.
I have played the game.
I've never played the game. I didn't even know it was a game until like the third episode.
You can ignore the game, really.
I'm just saying.
What I'm saying though is off of that. You play the game, you're like, oh, I got the Harley Quinn vibe, but this is how she's always been.
Yeah.
So you accepted that. Me, never played the game, have no idea that it's a game. I looked at it right away. I was like, oh, it's fucking Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, they don't hide that. I don't think they do any. They're not trying to hide it.
Well, yeah, it's just an archetype, you know. Like, I don't know, but I watched this, and from the first episode, I was like, well, of course Jinx is gonna be the main character. I'm like, she's like the character that people play the game for, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and I actually thought they did her character like super, super cool. I was like fascinated every time she was on screen. The second half of the season. Yeah. The first half, I was like, I get it. It's an origin story. You know, I was like, yeah.
Well, it's tragedy.
It was, no, but like, the first couple episodes, I was like, okay, this is like, it was building up what the world was, you know, and like where it was headed. And I thought they did that really, really well.
Yeah.
You know, like building up these characters that will be like, when the time jumps to like maybe 10 years in the future or something, I think they did it really well because like they have that good foundation and then they jump and it doesn't feel like you're jostled, you know, you're like, what is going on? It's like, yeah, this character was going to go there. You know, this was going to happen to that one.
Yeah, it's extremely good storytelling in that regard. Like everything felt organic. Everything that was built up, everything that developed, there were no surprises. Everything felt like this could have really happened in real life, right? Like, a lot of characters, like, for example, Larry, origin story of Harley Quinn. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
All right, so how did she go insane?
She from fucking around with Joker too much. She was his doctor.
But if you look at the literature, she went insane because the Joker threw her into a vat of chemicals. Then she came out and she was just insane.
Yeah, there's more depth into it than other than.
I mean, boil it down at the end of the day. That's essentially. I mean, you can look it up, but at the end of the day, like it's a thin origin. It's like, well, she dealt with a crazy guy, so she went crazy, or she got thrown into a vat of chemicals and she went crazy. Whereas in this story, at least they took the time to build a character that you totally can see at any point one different decision, and this could have gone a totally different direction, right?
Yeah.
But it was sort of a confluence of all these bad choices with like bad luck, and like just when like in the episode 3 when Vi's about to run back to her and then Marcus takes her back, he's like, no, he'll kill you. He tried to save her, so there's like good intentions. He's trying to help her now, but it turned out that was like the first big stumble, right, in Powder's life.
Yeah.
Well, one of the many, but like a big one that then now she's under Silco's control, right? Like you can see it go. You can see the whole. I think it does a good job of illustrating like the road to hell is paved by good intentions, right? It's little tiny things that you think you're doing the best you can. You're working hard to make your best choices, but at the end of the day, all of those choices went south because of the way they all worked together or something that was missed. So what I really liked about the way they wrote her, the way they wrote a lot of the characters here, was it felt organic. It wasn't forced. By the time you get to the third episode, the sixth episode, or the ninth episode, and she finally snaps and becomes Jinx, you totally get it. It all sits. You're not like, what? Why did she just suddenly go nuts? Like, nothing. That doesn't really pop in your head. It makes sense. It works. They did the hard work of building a foundation.
I mean, killing your friends, with good intent, with good intent. You know?
That's right.
Kind of does something.
I'm going to help, and all of a sudden you kill them.
You've like fucked up the entire operation.
Yeah, right. And then like you could see that she was really skilled. Like she was at the beginning, like her bombs didn't really work, but at the end, like even Victor was like, "Oh, this bomb is really high tech. Like whoever made this is very skilled, right?"
Yeah.
And then when they were in the arcade, and I forget the other character's name that died. But he's giving her shit about how she's Milo.
Yeah.
And she just takes the gun and like fires 9 bullets and they're all bullseyes. You know, like she's clearly a skilled marksman, but they don't like value that, or they don't give her credit for that because maybe she's too small or she's not grown up as much as they are or whatever. So like all of that comes together.
Well, the only one who doesn't give her credit for that is actually Milo, because the other one with the goggles was like, why, so she could beat you again, Milo? He even says like they recognize
You're
it.
right about that.
They all recognize it, just Milo's a punk.
There was a point where even Vi was like, yeah, I know, she's a jinx, she's a pain in the ass, I know it, but she's my sister, so I love her, I'm going to give her the benefit. And then, of course, Powder overhears that, and, every single time you're like, oh, no, not fuck.
Right,
she heard that?
$7 Gatorade. You drink that $7 Gatorade.
$7?
Dude, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm so upset.
Damn.
It's buyer's remorse right here. Like 6 something for a Gatorade and a Nesquik fucking strawberry.
So funny. Of all the things to just derail me, I'm like, wow, yeah, no, it's such a good $7.
Yeah, like so mad. I was walking back to my car and I had it in my hand and I'm like, wait, did I just pay? Son of a bitch!
Not worth it.
Fuck. So sorry.
So anyway,
he started it.
I think something else that was really well done was what was the counselor's name? The guy with the big hammer.
Oh, that was Jace.
Jace, yeah.
Why did he crack after he killed the kid?
Huh?
So my read on that was that he sort of got thrown. He had the hex tech, right? Mm-hmm. And then I forget who the other counselor who was his lover, the black woman.
Yeah.
Madara?
Yeah, Madara. I think that's her name. So anyway,
I wrote it down.
You could tell she was just like Medarda. She was like, hey, your tech could help the city. Like, and I think she was genuinely, they wrote her well. She was a strong character without having to like rely on her looks or without having to rely on like.
She was cunning, and that was her play.
She was sharp, yeah. And so she kind of was like, hey, why don't you use this tech? It's good for the city. And then he did it. And then he gets on the council. And then she's like, look, you got to kind of make your way around the council here and a little bit of politics and make your splash. And then he did it, and it worked. And then because he kind of owned Hex Tech, he kind of felt a little empowered. Now he's kind of became almost a de facto leader for the council. And you could see this build up to, I'm going to rule this city, where he started out as like a well-intentioned scientist. Mm-hmm. And he was like, and all of a sudden a little bit of power, and a little bit of opportunity. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, and then you could see, he's like, we got the power now. We can take all these guys out. And then he saw the kid that he killed inadvertently, and that's when I think that was a turning point. That was a well-positioned point.
But why didn't he crack? We're talking about the well.
Why didn't he crack?
Yeah, so because that was excuse to why.
I don't know that he would have had to crack. What do you mean by?
So Powder turns to Jinx because of her decisions and what happened. Like, she killed that whole crew. Kind of starts it, right?
Yeah. That was the beginning, but
Right,
remember,
so he did the same thing.
Well, the thing is, she was a child who killed all of her friends.
Right, so-
and then was told,
Child
you're mean,
trauma.
like, you're...
So I think the answer that you're looking for is that his was a one-off event. It was a horrible thing that happened. He killed this child by accident, even though the child was like working in this like lab. But like, he killed it. It's terrible. He almost like he was super regretted it. He was, whatever.
I'm just saying that the reasons why you're using that
cracked.
she changed, I don't understand why we can't use those same reasons for why he changed. Like, why didn't he change?
he's already like a
Let me
fully...
make an omelet.
No. Let me finish. So that happened to him when he was an adult, first of all. So you've got more, as an adult, you have more capacity to deal with that stuff, right? And then on top of it all, she was a child. She lost both her parents. And then she lost her surrogate dad because she killed him. She killed her surrogate family by accident. And then that's going to do something to you. And then you feel in episode 3, she thought that her sister intentionally abandoned her after she slapped her. And then she's taken under Silco's wing. Silco's not a good influence, even though some people are like, oh, he's a great dad. But he's not a fucking great dad. He cared about her. But he gave her fucking weapons. He was like, here, use violence to solve your problems. So, like, you're raising this child with massive, massive trauma, and then you're developing her into...
You're giving her more
killing
trauma.
her. Yeah, you're giving her more trauma. And so by the time it gets to it, and then she finally accidentally kills Silco.
I think she wanted to.
And that was the end of it. Maybe she didn't. That could be subconscious. I'll buy that. But, like, that was it. She killed, like... everybody she ever cared about, and then she's finally decided, I am a Jinx. Like, that's a development, that's a journey. If this were like Marvel, then Jace would have turned evil. Because he'd have been like, I killed one kid.
Let's kill a million.
The world. You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of the comic book, method of how do we create bad guys? Well, we just have one bad thing happen to them, and all of a sudden, it's terrible, right? Yeah. So, like, that's why I thought this was at least good writing. There was development. She grew. She changed. She was under the bad influence. She killed her family. She killed her family again. She killed her family again. And you're like, all right, how much can you take? You know what I mean? And when you look at, like, how do you write quote unquote crazy or madness? How do you write that in a story or in a book? Like, this is a masterclass on how to do it. You've got...
Wow, you're putting a lot into this show, man. Wow.
No, but I think in the realities, he's right. There's a lot into this show. I think the writing was deep, and a lot of shows you don't get this level of intricacy into the writing.
So is it deep because it's deep, or is it deep because we don't get it? We don't get anything from any of the shows.
Well, no, I think it's just like a good book that has been studied for years and years. People research and they theorize on the book and they go over it in classes and colleges, and they, look how many times like Catcher in the Rye has been ripped apart, page by page, and what are all the meanings and all. It's a book. It's a book about an annoying fucking kid. You know what I mean? Like, I hated that book. I fucking hated it, but people go over this book intently, you know what I mean, and then just pull out all the meanings, just like anything. It's the same thing here. It's well written, and you can keep going through it and trying to delve deeper into its meanings, or you don't. Or you don't have to. You'd be like, wow, that's a weird story.
You don't have to.
But yeah, I mean, I hated Catcher in the Rye. There are people that love it.
No, but
like, over and over and over again.
From the perspective of, like, if you watch, remember, like, if you're watching, like, She-Hulk was just crap writing. Like a lot of the Marvel stuff that just came out, let's say, in the past year or two, was super rushed by writers who just didn't really take the time to invest in it. They could have done, like, Mando could have been better developed. We talk about this all the time. Like this story is so thin. It doesn't have any substance. It doesn't have any of that. And so I appreciate what they did in Arcane, because it's not a thin story. It's not writing that was rushed. It was really well written.
There's a lot of layers.
There's a lot of layers. If you want to go that deep, you don't have to, right? You can just watch the story and appreciate it for whatever it is, and maybe you like it, maybe you don't. It's tragic, so it's sad. So that might not be for everybody, for sure. But, like, it's well done at least, and you can look at these characters and say, all right, this is really, like, it felt organic. There shouldn't be any surprises. It should feel like this could have happened. Like, I could see this legit happening, right? Like, not the magic and all that crap, but, like, just the story of these people and how they go through the tragedy and like how that tragedy impacts you. And you see her when she accidentally kills at the factory in episode 3, when she accidentally blows up all of her family. She's like torn apart. She's like, please, please, please. Oh my God, it was such a mistake. And like, I cried when that happened. Like I had tears. I was like, "Fuck!" Like,
oh, well, I was behind you till you told me that. But anyway.
Look, I'm not as much of a man to admit it.
That was definitely one of the times I was like, "Oh shit!"
I mean, it was heavy.
No, that was it. That was
plenty of oh shit moments,
right? And like you think about like
there's a lot of intense moments in the show.
There were, and I'm not too much of a man to admit that. Like, yeah, this is an emotional show, but like, it was emotional because it was well done, and like you felt invested in the characters. How many times by episode 3 do you care about any character we've seen in the past like year? Let's say from Disney or Marvel. How many times are you like so invested that by episode 3, if someone were to die or something tragic, you would care?
Oh, I was pissed off they killed the whole crew.
Like,
it almost took me out of the show.
Yeah, I was like, no,
like,
you did not just do that.
3 episodes in, you killed her whole crew, and now it's like it's almost like a completely different show.
Oh my
God! You get invested in all these characters. You think you're gonna go on this journey with these people, but episode's like, nah, we're all gone.
Yeah,
we're done.
I liked that they did that.
You got a whole different journey coming up in the next 6 episodes.
The right call.
It was so important that they did that.
It was important to the story,
and it didn't
100% to Jinx or Powder's story.
It didn't lose because of it. I thought it might. When I was first watching, I was like, oh, this is probably going to go south. Like
I didn't like the characters that much anyway, though.
The 2 other guys, yeah.
For me, it was not that I was sad that the characters died. It was the connection that they had to those characters.
Yeah.
You know? Because I'm like, Milo alone, I'm like, okay, yeah.
Well, their father, what's his name?
Kill him off, what are you
guy
gonna
who
do?
was running the underground.
Right. It's the very fact that she is responsible for that. Yeah. You know, for killing her father figure, one of 3,
Vander.
you know?
Yeah. One of 3 along the way, right? It's like your parents both die, and like that's tragic. And then like your surrogate parent, you kill them. And like that's
both of them.
I don't know how you recover from that. And then like your surrogate parent, you kill them, intentionally or not. And you're like, just fuck this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just sit down in the chair. This is
you
Jinx.
get to the point.
Fuck it. You know what? Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
That's right. When she sat down,
into it at that point.
When she sat down, she's like,
kind of gotta lay into
I'm
it. I'm
actively making this choice now. I am this person. I was like, oh my God. And then when she walked up the ramp to fire, I was like, oh my God, no. I mean, it was just. It took you on these rides, like highs.
She was destroying the Hex Gate, right? Like that's what she was doing.
She destroyed
the council.
The council, yeah.
She was like, "Fuck that building."
Yeah,
fuck all of them.
She literally was like, "Fuck everything," right?
Yeah, it's so funny.
She became the Joker.
Yeah.
Seeing at
but in a convincing way, I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I felt.
Not like
she killed the Joker.
Here's some psychopath go crazy.
Yeah, but then she becomes the Joker.
Right.
I don't know. I have so little to bring to this.
So my question to Larry then is...
There's no problem.
No, my question to Larry is...
differently.
And this is not an insult. Like, we know your history. You like to just be entertained.
Yeah.
And in a way of, like, I don't really want to think that hard about this. Just fucking entertain me. But this show really makes you go deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just...
No, I know
not that you can't go deep.
Right.
You just choose, like, I don't really fucking want to. I want to be entertained. And I want to kind of shut it off a little while. And you cannot shut it off for this show and get its full effect. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy it, but you can certainly not get its full effect if you just shut off and be like, I just want to be entertained.
Yeah,
so I know that
you have to like no distractions, fucking sit there, watch it, and maybe watch it a couple of times to really fucking get all the little things.
So, all right, so now here's the thing. Now I know that's the thing. Like, I love just to be entertained. Absolutely. That doesn't mean that I can't like sit down and deep dive. Sorry, bro. The fucking tools here. The equipment. It's not that I can't sit down and like go through layers and layers and layers. Like, I absolutely can. Just for me,
right? That's what I said.
This one, dude. By 3rd episode, I'm like, I don't give 2 fucks about anybody. I don't care about this show. It didn't grab me.
It didn't grab you. That's fine.
You know, Larry doesn't like young people, so it's okay.
So, but tell me,
there's nothing wrong with not necessarily getting into it. There's plenty of shows that people like that I haven't gotten into. It's not.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I mean, again, I had plenty of shit moments. I was like, wow, all right, cool. Oh, I'm not asking for like forgiveness.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, people love that Modern Family. I could give a fuck about any of those people on that show, but that was a huge hit. That was a hugely watched show. I could give a
I
fuck.
could give a fuck about The Office, but you know.
Shit, you need to leave right now. You need to. That's it.
So,
Fucking
yeah, I
mic
mean-
off. You're done.
I mean, yeah, like I understand that there's plenty of layers in the show. Plenty. It was right. The dialogue was really, really good.
How about that animation?
The animation was really good too. Again, but
Sucking them back in.
For me, it was Final Fantasy meets Disney. It was,
I don't see the Disney
I
aspect.
didn't
I
see
do
it.
see
sort
what
of
he's talking about, but
I see
the
the final.
animation was like.
if you look
This
at
is
like
the
the
next
I'm
level
short of
3D
saying
animation.
groundbreaking. Like
Yeah.
it was really intense animation. I've studied a lot. I've watched a lot. I've seen a lot of different types of animation, and it can be kind of herky jerky. But it can kind of be like take you out of it. And there were a couple of moments it did, and I'll talk about that in a
Yeah,
second.
it wasn't perfect.
I had
It
a
wasn't
couple moments,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was like when they used too much blue or like the explosion stuff. Some like the weird power weapon type thing. It almost got like really flat, like the video game, like a video
Yeah, it
game
washed
would.
out intentionally, I think.
I know, but it was like it was distracting because everything else was so rich
Yeah.
and deep and gradiated, and you know what I mean. Like you had real structure to everything, the weapons, the glow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Everything. And all of a sudden, just like, all right, we're gonna do this like weird Inuyasha fucking swirl,
very
and like
much,
very
yeah.
flat. And like, what the fuck just happened? Like you could have done better with that, and it
Yeah.
looked even more amazing.
I saw that as a contrasting element, but
Yeah, but why
maybe not.
change it like that? Like and maybe it worked for some people. For me, it
Artistic
completely
choice,
bumped
maybe.
me out. Yeah, it was an
Yeah,
artistic
yeah.
choice that bumped me out.
It was always interesting how they did the like smoke and steam effect that felt like different, you know, than every other, like the animation
Yeah.
of like the rest of the show.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
so much like intricacy in the animation and the movement and the coloring and everything like that. It was just the lighting was just it was really intense. It
I
was
like the
really cool
storyboarding,
to
or like
watch.
where the camera would be. If somebody were walking down the street, the camera would be like at ground level, and you
Yep.
see a couple feet go by, or like just the way they framed the scene. I thought was really kind of very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was definitely intense.
It added a little bit more movement. It added a little bit more. Just a little more interesting to watch. I usually watch shows like while I'm working. So like I'll have one screen with the show on, the other screen, whatever. I've got
This guy with multiple
what I'm
screens
doing.
going.
No, because like I honestly I've got so much work
I
to
gotta
do
go
that I
down
don't
a
have
little
time
corner.
to sit there and focus on it. But when I first started watching this, I literally was like, well, I'm just gonna watch this show right now. Like I it just sucked me into like that. You know what I mean? In a different way than obviously than Larry. So, but like. You don't have to like everything, but
No.
the animation was, for me, like beautiful to watch and beautiful to see. And some of the scenes, the way they created, like the city of Piltover when they like pan.
Oh my
out.
god, I loved when they would pan on the cities, like everything moving and stuff
Really?
like that. I
Yeah.
was like, wow.
It's really cool.
Especially when it like jumps to like 10 years and you see like what are they,
development
blimps,
of the hex
zeppelins?
tech?
What
Yeah.
are they?
Yeah, basically
But like
blimps.
those flying past and you see everything moving in the city. I was like, yeah.
It was cool. How about the use of music? Like they
Oh
released
my
all their-
god!
there, yeah, the music.
soundtrack was so
Cinematography was its own
so
thing,
well
and then
done.
music, the soundtrack was just its
Yeah.
own character, if you will.
Yeah, they tied it together like just incredibly well.
Right from the opening song, like the opening credit song.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can't go
I
wrong
really-
with Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the music.
It was really good. It was really good. Like even
And I
just
usually
like the
don't
way
care.
they
Like,
used
that's
it in
usually
the
not my thing.
scenes, the way they used it.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm trying to look up who did the soundtrack.
It was in-house. So the first one at the end of episode 3, they had this girl Ramsey sing it. It was a song called "Goodbye" when Powder loses Vi essentially.
Right. Yeah.
And then at the end of episode 6, so it was cool. They did it in like 3 acts. So like the first 3 episodes were Act 1, second 3 Act 2. So then they ended up the second 3 episodes was Guns for Hire when she was on top of the rooftop with the
flare.
beacon flare.
That was a cool scene.
So good, and you could see all the shit happen again, where like she lights the flare, Vi shows up, and she's like, "Are you real?" And then you think like, "All right, maybe they saved Powder. Maybe she's not all the way gone."
Yeah.
And then Catherine shows up, and she's like, "Who the fuck is
It's
that?"
over. It's over.
And then the other guys,
Once she showed up, it was
show
over.
up. I know. And Vi's like, "Hold on a second, everybody. Can we just calm the fuck down for a minute?" You know? And you just want to, like, you can see the train wreck about to happen, and you're like, "No, just don't do that thing." You know what I mean? And then the final scene when they used what could have been Sting sung that, which was like, he just did a great job of like emoting when
Oh,
she's
yeah.
gonna fire the bomb. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah,
that was
it was
really
super intense.
It was definitely intense. So season 2.
Season 2 coming out in November. I can think November 21st is what they're talking about.
Excellent. Look forward to it. I will look forward to it. I'll probably rewatch season 1.
Yeah.
Because again, there's a lot.
It's good to have a
goes
recap.
on. There's a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To catch up on season 2. Any word on what it's about, or have you seen anything?
No, they've released a couple trailers, and it's really just nothing. It's just like some more cool animation, but it's just like nothing. Nothing that tells you anything.
Right.
A lot of people speculating, but nobody knows shit.
Nice.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you take, and you could say Jinx, but who's your favorite character?
I like Vi. I mean, I can relate to her because I'm an older sibling also, and so like for me, my brother is 4 years younger, and for me it was always we had a good relationship, so I was always like protecting him, taking care of him. So I totally related to Vi and what she was kind of going
So you
through.
didn't light him up on the way to customer service to call your mother?
I did not do that. I did not do that.
Just gaslight him the entire way. What if we never see her again? Yeah.
Oh man.
Got it.
But
That's
I
what
thought
2
she
years
was
gets
solid.
you. That's the difference between 2 years and 4 years. The extra 2 years get you a little bit more nurturing. So the extra 2 years of nurturing.
I think in 2 years your kids are competitive with each other in some fashion. I mean, my brother and I were 4, so it wasn't such a big deal for me.
Yeah, I was not competitive with my brother. He was very competitive with me.
Yeah.
I could have cared less.
It's weird.
He's just super competitive with me. Like, it was soccer.
He was competitive in general.
He was very competitive anyway. I mean, he would go in the backyard, play soccer. I sucked at soccer. It didn't matter. But he still had to, like, let's get the cones on. I'm like, why?
Why?
I'm going to lose.
Why are we doing
Not
this?
because I'm, like, I'm always, like, in a bad mood. I'm just like, you're better at this. If we go to the karate school and do a sparring match, I'm going to kick your ass. But we're in your game now. We're in your world. So what the fuck?
Well, that's why.
You know what I mean?
He wanted to.
He wanted
be
to feel
better.
good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he was like,
And
I
then
need
if,
to be.
God forbid, I
come on.
started to win or I got a goal, he'd change the cones. He'd change where his cones were because the sun was here and it was downhill and a million fucking excuses why his goal had to be a different size than mine, had to be a little smaller because I fucking happened to score by accident. I probably tripped on a rock and the fucking ball went in. You know what I mean? Bullshit. Yeah, that's the difference. That's the extra 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the extra 2 years. Gotcha. Yeah, definitely.
No, so I thought that was good. I thought that was also really well written. Like, so here's a good. This is where Marvel should go to school on how to write strong female characters, right? Like, she was the top character. She was strong. She was powerful, but not because she just had this fucking innate ability or because she was the chosen one or some bullshit. She just took a fucking beating and then just kept getting up and she threw force of character and force of will. Like in the first scene when they blow up Jace's, studio
Office, yeah.
and then they're coming back and forget the guy that ended up getting high on Shimmer, but like he challenges them in the street, and he's like, give me some of that stuff you stole. She's like, no. And like the first cut is of her getting her fucking ass beat, like the punch that just sends her sideways.
That was a cool scene. The
see
slow
that coming?
motion.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
somebody was
God.
punching. You should have saw that coming.
Like these guys aren't invincible. They weren't like super mighty. They weren't
clearly.
They weren't John Wicks, right? They weren't like Hutches. They were
No, they would've gotten up.
real people who got their fucking ass beat, and yet they still kind of somehow scrapped it together. She got knocked down when she was fighting Savika in the right, and she's on the ground, and you could see like Vander's ghost, and she's hearing him like, "Hey, you're gonna get up. These guys need you," and like that's the shit that makes you root for them, and you're like, okay. And she just got demolished. She's on the ground, basically unconscious. Savika's like, all right, we're gonna fucking finish this now, right? And then she's like, all right. She gets up. She fucking somehow manages to pull her shit together, and then it continues. Like that's the stuff that I think is much better writing than just Captain Marvel. She just had to believe in herself. Yeah, through the power of just belief, she became mighty. And like, oh, come on. Better writing.
Yeah, I love when they prioritize writing a good character rather than let's write a female. Now let's write her, try to make her a good character,
strong, right.
They just go like, all right, so we've got a woman. Like, Like, once you start with that phrase, you go, okay.
Yeah,
You know?
and this didn't even matter, girl or boy. Vi could have been anything. She just was a well-written
They just made her such a good character.
Yeah.
And that, oh my God, I love when they do that.
Yeah.
Because
Larry,
I've
what'd you
watched
think?
way too many things that are the opposite.
Larry looks so he wants to swallow
My
his own
favorite
tongue.
character is?
Yeah, this conversation.
Actually, my favorite character was Vander.
Yeah.
He was my favorite.
Yeah.
Solid.
So I know I don't want to seem like I'm shitting on. I don't know. Like there's so many great parts. So you guys bring up so many great points. Like yeah, dude, Vi was awesome. She was badass. She gets thrown to jail when she's like 13 years old. Comes out of jail whenever. What was that? So like.
Do we know
10
why
years?
she went to jail?
No, because he saved her. Because she went when she goes to go after Powder. And I don't know people's names.
Marcus.
He was like, no, he'll kill you.
Oh.
So I didn't realize that he was putting her in jail. I thought that he was just gonna like hide her away.
I didn't either until she ended up in jail.
When she ended up in jail, I was like, oh wow, you put her in fucking
shitty.
jail in solitary confinement.
Shitty.
And where there's no records, you put her in a fucking hole, dude. Like, fuck off. Like, go pound sand. So all of a sudden she gets her ass kicked every day in jail and didn't get killed, and she kind of gets out and all right, you got fortitude. Woo! Anyway, Vander was pretty badass because he was held to a certain standard. He was supposed to be the savior of the Undercity, and he had that line, man, that he had to balance. He had to play that balancing act. He's like, you know,
you don't get to be selfish when everybody's relying on you.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, he looked up at those gloves when they wanted to like fight him. He was like, let me tell you something. I haven't put those bad boys on in a while, but if you want to go, we could go.
He's like, they're hard to clean.
Yeah. He goes, so I mean, I really liked it because you see the depth in his character,
100%.
right? Like right from the get, like he takes on those two little girls. I'm like, fuck. So you could tell that he was a
How about
leader.
that scene at the beginning when he comes across them and they're while looking at their dead parents?
Yeah,
and
and he grabs them,
and carries them both. Like, I've carried my kids like that. I know sort of what that feels like viscerally, and I was like, oh man, that is.
So that's why like Vin, like I saw, like again from the beginning, I saw that character. I was like, he's the one. Like for me, that was a strong character.
I love
Then
it.
you know, and again, like the when the people from above, the sheriffs of Nottingham, when they first come down, and
the enforcers.
thank you, you know, and he's talking to the lady, and she's like, so what do we do about this? He's like, look, we have our rules, we have our arrangement. You stay up there, I take care of shit down here. And I'm like, fuck it, ain't right. So they give you, they wrote that character as like he's the one he's the one who keeps all the craziness at bay. Because trust me, if it wasn't for him, they're going topside and they're just gonna run shit. They're gonna ruin your fucking pretty little city. So be nice to this man.
Yeah, and that's what happened, right? That's when Silco took over.
So for me, it was Van was the best character. I loved him.
He was awesome.
It sucked that he died. Like
100%.
I knew he was gonna die. So that's another thing too. Like there was a lot of foreshadowing. Like you could see. Like if you're paying attention to the story, you know what's gonna happen.
Well, that's like starting a show with a father figure or a mother figure. You go, they're gonna die.
They're gonna die.
They will die soon.
It's like you look at it, it's like, all right, well, he needs to die in order for them to grow up. She's definitely the leader, so you could see that. She's got the dumb little sister who keeps fucking everything up, so we see that playing out. Something's gonna like you see, like you know something bad's gonna happen between the sisters where they cross paths.
Yeah.
Or they separate from each other. Like you know that somebody's gonna be bad, somebody's gonna be good. You know it's all that foreshadowing. So I'm like, all right, we know this is gonna happen. So when it happened, I was like, yeah, we saw that. Did I see it happening the way it did? No, not really. So again, when she blows up the whole fucking film, I'm like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about all you got from me. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe.
Yeah, but you know what I did like though? He was like, because the whole time the lead up, he was like, no, we're not going to fight these guys. No, that's not the right thing to do, right? And then, but when it came to go toe to toe with that shimmered out monster, he fucking held his own, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Not only that, but like, he's the first character in the show that I remember seeing like injure like a shimmered out person.
Yeah.
Like he so you're like, oh, he really was a fucking badass.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously you can't overcome.
And then, so speaking of Vander and his gloves, when Jace creates the hammer and the gloves, I was like, oh, I know where those are going.
Yeah.
Right away. And I was like, yeah, dude, Vi's going to end up having them because it's going to be, so that
but
was.
if you know the game, you know the game she has those.
But again, I've never played the game.
Yeah.
I'm specifically speaking from what the visual, what I'm seeing, and I'm going, yeah, she's going to have that.
Yeah.
So for me, that's part of my dislike, because everything was,
too predictable.
It was spelled out for me, and I'm like, yeah,
so
dude.
So you were hoping it'd be more of a surprise here and there.
Yes,
okay,
I want. So that's when I look at a story. Like I want more of that. I don't want I don't want to come to the conclusion too early because it's like, well, fuck. Then you've kind of taken it out for me because if I know the moment he has gloves, you showed me gloves, she's gonna have the gloves, and then 3 episodes later, she has the gloves. I'm like, yeah, I fucking saw that coming.
I got you.
So that for me, that's what kind of sometimes takes me out of stories. If I could predict what's gonna happen, regardless. If you tell me a joke and I can figure out the ending before they finish, it's not funny anymore. Yeah. Same thing with stories. If I could predict the ending of said story, it's not to say that's not a good story. Just I saw the end of that story fucking miles away. Yeah. So it's like,
no, I don't disagree with that.
Graphically, it was really good. And when I say it meant Final Fantasy meets Disney, I think of like some of the images from 101 Dalmatians, specifically. The lines that they like use like in the face, the kind of sharp edges in a way of the old 101 Dalmatians. This made me think of that. That's the only reason why I think. Okay. Like, I mean, I'm Disney.
I know. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. I'm not putting that together, but that's fine. I mean, that's just how you saw it. It's fine.
I mean, I actually kind of liked Silco.
No, Silco was great.
He was pretty fucking cool.
Silco, but why did you like him? Because he wasn't a one-dimensional, I'm just going to destroy the world.
There was a little bit more depth in him. I like.
And when you see him care for Power, and then like when he holds her in episode 3,
so their relationship kind of confused me though.
Why? Because it seemed legitimate.
No, it seemed kind of perverse.
No, I think it was father-daughter, adopted daughter.
Yeah, I don't know,
man. My impression was that he saw the pain that she went through and the betrayal that he felt reflected in her, because I think part of her issue was that she felt betrayed by her sister.
And they used that, right? Because he was betrayed by
He's like, we're going to gas that up.
Yeah, he gaslit her big time, right?
But there was
all of that. So I felt like he saw kinship.
When she gets on his lap to hit him in the eye, that whole thing,
it's a little perverse.
Are they fucking? Is that what's happening here? Because I'm very confused on what's happening here. Like, is it like, hey, I'm taking you on as my quote-unquote daughter, but you're now going to become my child's bride? And it kind of threw me off.
I'll buy that.
I'm glad that they explained it like they didn't do something like that again.
At the end of it, I think like at the end of the series, it kind of comes around that he says like he looks at her like a daughter, and I was because this whole time I wasn't quite sure what was happening. And it was because that's like really like the first scene that we kind of see them together, and she's like on his lap, and again it was very, very perverse to me, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure what the fuck is happening here.
Familial intimacy.
Like, are you guys fucking or what? Like, because it's kind of creepy.
It was weird.
She stabs, I say stab, but it's giving him the thing. So again, throughout the whole movie, the show, there were certain parts that I was like, oh, really cool. Like, I don't want to take away from that, but a lot of it I kind of saw coming, so it took me out of it. What I didn't see coming is the one who leads the Firelights. When he took off his mask, that was cool. When he took off the mask,
Echo.
Echo.
That's blindsided me.
Yeah. For me, that was probably one of my favorite parts.
I was like, who are these guys?
Off. Yeah, when he takes the mask, the first guy takes off the mask, it's a bat. And I'm like, oh, it's a bat. Yeah. Okay. When Echo takes off his mask, I went, it's Little Man.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool. So I like that part of it. Yeah. Like, that was probably my most favorite part. I'm like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And Moderna, what was her name? Her mom. Her mom is badass.
She was a badass.
She's a badass.
But there's another strong female character
who just takes no shit.
Takes no shit. Like, she was... Like, every character in the show is just well written, right? So for me, I know exactly I understand where you're coming from now, but like, for me, surprises are fun. I enjoy it. For me, I'm okay if I know where it's going, if you tell me a good story, right? Like, I could see it coming too, but then I was like, I want to, how does this go?
Well, how do they play it out?
You can see the train wreck happening, but you're still staring. You're like, I can't fucking look away, right? And so for me, I was like, oh, this is gonna go bad. Like, the minute at the end of episode 3, when Marcus grabs Vi and doesn't let her go back to Powder, right there, you're like, oh, she's fucked. Like, that's the end of Powder, right? But then you're like, well, how does this go? Like, how does this develop? Where are we going with the story? So for me, I agree with you. It wasn't like super shocking. Well, there were a couple things here and there, like at the very end. But like most of the time, you're like, I see. But that's the part of the organic feel of a well-written story. Like, you know where it's going, but you still want to see how it turns out and how they do it. For me, because like, all right, Vander stopped being a badass. Why? Because you could see it was well developed in like episode 1 why he stopped doing that, because like he's like, you can't outrun your history, right? You can't. He realizes your parents died on that bridge because of my decisions, and so he decided, I'm gonna save the people I love instead of throwing them away and just trying to kill the people I hate. And I think that's a big deal. And you can just the fact that there were no surprises. What's that about?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay. No, the fact that you
Just
knew that was just
you move your head quick. Everybody's like, what happened? What's going on?
Oh, really?
But I really like Silco as a character too. He was well written.
He was pretty badass.
He was multi-dimensional, right? Like you could see his motivation.
One of my favorite Silco parts is when. Well, actually, there's a couple good parts. He's just a badass, honestly.
I think when he went to the council, the surprise meeting, and he was like,
he shows up with the box. He's like, by the way, just to let you guys know that I'm the one who made this for you. And he stops the thing. I went, oh, you're all fucked.
Oh, yeah.
And then he hands him all the masks. And he looks at the last one. He goes, and he just holds the mask in his hand. And he's like, basically, you think you could do this without me? But if it wasn't for me, you're dead. You're nothing. You're a waste.
He kind of did a Bane where he's like, I was born in the...
Yeah. And he just like drops the mask on the floor and just watches. He goes, just remember that the next time you guys want to think about it.
So fucking good.
That was such a cool scene.
So I also like the Sith. So maybe that has a huge part of it. Yeah. I'm such a Sith person. I love the Sith.
No, I love a good villain.
Yes.
Probably should rethink Larry teaching at the school. I'm not really sure.
Larry's like, that's right, child. Let the hate flow through you.
Sparring night. Punch him right in the face.
Right in the face. Punch him hard.
Attack first, ask questions later.
If there's any left, attack. Answer a question or two. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, but why do you like the bad guys like that? Because they're good, they're well written.
There's more to them.
I mean, in a lot of movies, TV, bad guys are written better than the heroes, right? There's more depth to them.
I think that there's so much more depth.
There's more depth into their reasons.
If you do it right.
Right. Yes. But there's a lot more reasons to why they're doing, right? The hero's the hero because I want to do good.
And that's all you need.
Yeah, but like, was there a hero?
You want to do good because you want to.
I think it's because I think there's like with hero versus like liking villains more than hero thing. I think it comes from a place of like default. You go, I want to do the right thing. But in order to go, I wanna really fuck shit up. You know,
you gotta think about it.
You have to have a really different way of thinking. You know,
there has to be a lot of reason to be.
You have to be a deep character.
Who is the hero in this?
I think that was hero-ish.
No,
I mean,
the closest thing is
hero-ish.
I think the closest thing is Vi and Catherine. Catherine, because they're trying to like actively.
What are they trying to do?
Do things.
Well, I think she's trying to get in her pants.
Yeah.
But that aside, right? Like, I mean, clearly.
Just because
my hero.
None of them are actively
trying to fuck somebody and disturb something on purpose, right?
Right, yeah. I'm like, they're like the only person that's not, like, the only people that are not actively, like, fucking ruining the lives of, say,
because there's a point that Vi's like, even like, listen, you know what? You stay up top. I'm gonna stay down here. We're just gonna separate and. Like, we just have to live our lives, and that's that. Jason's like, we need to make a better world, yay. Then he's like, we need to bring war because that's the only way we can stop them. And I'm like,
but what a cool development from let's make a better world to let's fucking destroy everything. And that's the same character.
I was surprised.
Yeah, I would think Jason's a pussy, though. I don't like him.
Well, yeah, he wasn't written to be like the fighter guy.
Yeah.
Even though he tries to be.
Yeah.
I shockingly liked, like, Jace's story because at first I was like, yo, who's this side character that I'm not going to carry? And then I was like, not that I like ended up caring about him, but just seeing the direction he goes and the decisions he makes in order to do certain things, you know? I feel like bringing back something you said, like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. I feel like that's his whole story arc, you know? Mm-hmm. Where he's like, oh, I just want to make the world a better place. well, how do we do that? We could do this and this.
We created magic.
We could do that.
Victor said it at the end, right? He was like, we lost our way. We were trying to do good.
Yeah. We're like, how did we end up here?
How did we end up here? Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. Hex Tech was supposed to be making life better, and then all of a sudden, the Madeira's mother was like, you're going to make weapons out of this. He's like, no, that's not the intent. She's like, I don't fucking care what the intent was.
Right.
We have the
standard operating procedure whenever you have that kind
Pandora's
of
box
power.
has been opened.
Yeah, that magic or technology, it's standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Even though the little Wuzzle told him, hey, stop all that shit.
Their little Gwildor? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like Gandalf as a gnome.
Yeah, he was like, listen,
I wish I gave more of a shit about his character.
Yeah,
like, I wish they made.
I did it first. And
They lost me on him.
More.
You know what I thought was good about him? Heimerdinger. He was.
Bless you. God bless you.
Yeah. He originally
the
you
same
hear
character
him.
in Paw Patrol. They just call him Humdinger.
Originally, he gives advice and like warnings, and you're like, oh, this you probably ought to listen, right? You're probably.
What was it,
This
like
is the
900
voice
years
of
old, or
reason.
300 years old?
Right.
He was older.
300.
I think 300.
Maybe it's the fact that he was
quite
actively.
Yoda, but yeah.
But like you see his development too, because he made some mistakes and he made some bad suggestions, and like Hex Tech did help a lot of people, and then you see him like walk through the city and sort of learn. What I really liked about this was like every character from episode 1 to episode 9 came out a different person, and you don't normally see that. Like there's development in almost all of them where they change. Like Marcus, for example, right, the guard who took Vi. He was originally
Even him.
He was originally working for the sheriff. I forget her name, but like she was like, no, Marcus, calm your steroids here. Like there's a reason we've got an agreement with Vander because he keeps shit cool, like you were saying, Larry. He keeps shit cool in the Undercity, and we're good up top. And she was doing this, and then Marcus was like, no, you gotta get down there, you gotta raise hell and arrest everybody. And she's like, that's not the way the world works. Then she dies, and he realizes,
But wait a minute,
wait.
But why did she die?
She got ripped apart by the thing.
Because Marcus made a deal.
Yeah.
So he made a deal. Because remember when that happened, he was like, that's not how this was all supposed to play out.
Right.
You were supposed to get them and then fuck off. You weren't supposed to do all this. And that's when Silco was like,
and then
well, guess what? Because, things changed. Because that happened, you're the head shit now.
Right.
So Silco was like, I'm going to kill her, put him in charge, and now he's in our pocket. So that was all a play on Silco's half.
Yeah, and that's what you get when you don't pay attention to people who have some experience per se, right? Like where she was like, no. Vander's the guy you want to play with. Don't fuck with. She didn't say Silco, but like, don't fuck with Silco. She probably would have known. No, he's not the one you want to make a deal with, right? Vander's the guy. He has good intentions. We can work with that. Whereas Silco's like way off.
Well,
he's way out here.
He's like, I have money.
Turn on you and fuck you as soon as he can.
Yeah, and like you see Marcus develop, be like, oh, that was fucking terrible, and then like you realize he's not a bad guy. He just was doing what he thought was right, and what he thought was right,
and fucked himself over.
He fucked himself over.
His lack of experience and wanting to listen to other people.
Lack of experience, right? But I love the development from episode 1.
Is there anybody in the show you feel was not developed? Like, is anybody you wish you would have seen more out of?
Madeira's mother was only in for a short amount of time, so you don't see her. You don't see much development there, because she was just kind of a quick in and out.
I did like Medarda's character, though, the woman.
She was good. I like Victor's character. He was a really. What I like about him.
I want to see more of Victor. I want to see more of Victor. I want to see more of, just more growth from them.
I originally thought Victor was going to be the. Like the guy who gets pissed off at whatever Jace is doing and turns from him, and
I'm so glad he wasn't.
They become like enemies. I'm glad he didn't. But like that's an example.
But that could still happen though, because I feel like in a lot of these kind of stories, there's always like 2-3 things happening at the same time. It's like 2-3 storylines.
Season 2 could separate.
Pretend this was Marvel or DC. And
they would have pulled every single thing they could have possibly.
Victor loses. He's gonna die, and he becomes kind of part cyborg, whatever. He would become evil, right?
He would have been
like, "Fuck life."
He becomes Dr. Doom.
Evil.
That's Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
But he didn't.
He becomes.
He would have become Doc Ock or some bullshit.
No,
like
who was the guy?
Yeah,
the implosion guy?
there was a lot of moves that they decided not to make, and I'm like, yes. I'm so glad you didn't make those decisions.
He became humane, right? And then he killed his assistant, the woman who's really really liked him.
Mm-hmm.
He killed her by accident, and then he was gonna jump off that ledge because of it, and Jace was like,
walks in.
"Don't do it." Like that's good I know you could see it coming, but it's still got good writing. Like, I'm glad they did do that.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't make him become just kind of the evil guy.
Right.
Yeah, because that easy.
So
that would have been easy. That would have been easy.
So honestly, that one that's how I thought that was going to play out. I was like,
me too.
Oh, he's going to get, hungry with power because clearly this entity thing that he's created, that's what it wants.
Right.
And he went to go and see his buddy downstairs in the fucking undertale. So I'm like, oh, there's that alien creature thing that he's barely keep it alive just for the essence of it. And I was like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that Victor was going to be that. So I'm kind of surprised that he did. And I was like, there's still season 2 though.
There's still time.
There's still time, right?
Yeah. I was happy to see that he didn't though. I was like, that would have been the easy way out.
But if you look at Iron Man, Killian didn't become until the 3rd movie. But they referenced it all the way back to the 1st movie.
Yeah.
He was basically essentially started his trail in the 1st movie.
Yeah. So
but like look at Iron Man, right? Who's I forget the name of the bad guy that like Iron Man like blew him off. He was
that's him. Killian.
He's like, meet me up on the roof, and he went up. And he's up there, and all of a sudden you become evil. You want to destroy the whole world.
3 movies. Like
one.
that, they referenced that like in the 3rd movie.
But like,
that happened prior to the 1st movie.
How many times have somebody pissed you off?
I had a fucking insult the lady on the fucking drive here. I wanted to kill her.
Disrespected you, and then you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking destroy the world now. Like,
I'm gonna kill you in 10 years' time.
I have no idea. I'm gonna
doesn't work
find
like
that
that.
fucker.
So this felt better.
Beeped at me while she's doing illegal shit.
How dare she?
I think that you could do more in animation than you can in movies. I feel when it comes to like storytelling, because I don't know, like, you can only do so much with actual human beings because, we get old. Where drawing never gets old. I mean, Bart Simpson's been 13 for the last fucking, 30-something years. He's been 13. Yeah. So I think that in animation, you can kind of stretch that out, where in movies, you kind of can't.
Yeah.
So sometimes the story has to be things that's like, listen, we've only signed this guy for the next fucking 3 movies. We gotta make shit happen. Where in animation, you can be like, no, we can take our time with it. So I think that sometimes that story develops a little bit more, a little bit deeper, where you can add the layers and layers. Because again, it's jarring, essentially.
But let me counterpoint.
Sure.
This was 9 episodes. Like, that's 1 season. You can, and that's really what I really appreciate about what they did. In 3 episodes, on the 3rd episode, I really cared that the girls were torn apart. I really cared that Vander died. I really cared that the people what happened to them happened. I really cared. By episode 3, take into account like Mando. I didn't really give a shit until
Obi-Wan.
5 or 6. Obi-Wan. Nobody really cared.
Oh my god.
And Solo had a whole movie.
It.
Nobody developed anything. Like,
shut up, Larry.
All of that. But like,
feed me.
This
easy,
is,
Audrey.
You're right about seasons and that kind of thing, but all within the case of one season.
They did do a good job with that. So yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, for
me, over here changing Larry's rating.
No, my rating's still the same.
No, but for me, that's the good writing that I'm talking about. Like, you did a good job, guys, of making me care, and that is not easy. It requires some thought. It requires like, all right, how do we do this as a writer? How do we do this as a show? And it all comes together, right? Because it's like good writing, because you got to get good character setup, because you got to spend the time to build the base that you even give a shit about as a viewer. And then they used visuals that were just very beautiful. Then they used music to emote more, and then they just threw it all together.
It was definitely more of a complete package type show.
There was so much effort put into this.
You need a lot. Everything needed to hit in order for it as a whole. Like one doesn't stand out by itself. Like, you need everything. It's a team. 100%. It's a team, and that's what makes this show.
They pushed back their drop by a year. To complete it and make it better.
So I can respect that. And again, it's not that I was like, oh my god, this movie's so fucking, this show's so horrible and this sucks.
No, I get it.
Nothing sucked for me. Nothing sucked. Okay, I just
didn't really turn you on.
Maybe I don't know.
It didn't draw you.
I've got to think about this a little bit more.
Didn't light your world on fire?
No, it really did, because I think maybe because part of it was I keep fucking grabbing that. The cord, I keep grabbing the cord. Nothing.
She said,
nothing else?
Nothing. Well, it is Sunday, day of the Lord, stop, rest.
Twice.
So So I think that I was looking for things to kind of stand out on their own when this was a show that it didn't do that. It needed everything else to kind of play in order for it to hit. Like, the music plays into the visuals, plays into the story, plays into the character development.
Yeah, but you weren't watching this without the sound on. So it's not like you were like, if the sound had been on, we would have been better. Like, everything was already right there.
Right, but it needed all of it. Like,
I don't think it needed all of it, but it had all of it, which made it better. In other words, if you had no music, in my opinion, all right, no music. The writing is still very good because they developed the characters. They took the time to develop them the right way. Like, the dialogue was good. The animation, you could have acted it out in live, and it would have been a little different because sometimes the animation can add to action and make it more interesting. But like, if you just heard, let's say it was only on audiobook, and you just heard this, you might still, the writing was still good. You might still care about these characters. I'm not saying it had the same impact. It wouldn't have the same impact, but you might still care.
But I think that's what made the show great, is that it had all the elements.
So I agree with
It
that.
would have been a different show without the music. It would have been a bad show without the music, but everything worked together. I think that's what made it so strong.
I agree with you.
And
But
it separated it from the pack of other shows that could be similar.
Take John Wick as an example.
There's a shit ton of animation type, anime type of shows, but this one stands out on its own. Not only the writing, the visuals, the music, the cinematography, everything put together, voice acting, everything had to work together seamlessly to make such an excellent show. Because if so many shows have tried and they're not Arcane. And it doesn't mean there's not better, but there's certainly a whole fuck ton of worse.
No, but
you know what I mean?
Hear me out here. If you took a show that I absolutely, I love it. I rated 6 out of 5, John Wick, right? Mm-hmm. If you were to take just the dialogue in that, I'm not talking about the bullets and all that shit, just the dialogue, and like, you'd be like, I don't really.
But what makes that movie?
Whatever.
We know
the movie is made by the action and the shooting of
we
the
know
visuals,
that.
right? But so you couldn't take that audio soundtrack of the dialogue, set it aside, and be like, that's really well. I don't love John Wick because of the dialogue. I love John Wick because of his action, and you see the dog die.
Right, and that's what makes the movie.
But you couldn't take each element out of the John Wick movie and say that's still good. Whereas I think in Arcane, you could take the dialogue out and I would still care about the characters. Listen to only the dialogue. You could take the music out and be like, that still moves me. It's good music. You could take the visuals just with no sound. And I'd be like, that's a really beautiful scene they just put up. So what I'm saying is, yes, you put it all together, it's an A+. But separate those pieces. You're still talking about B+, A-. Like, they're all very good on their own. Whereas John Wick, it has to be a unit put together. Maybe John Wick's not a great example, but like you take...
No, because you're watching John Wick for the action. That's what it is. You don't need the music, you don't need any of that.
Take the marbles.
Well, take the action out, and then it's not John Wick.
Take She-Hulk, take any of the other garbage stuff that I have personally criticized as bad, right? I'm not saying something you may or may not have liked, but like, I think, let's say, She-Hulk was poorly done, because you just don't care about that character. They don't take the time to build it. So you could take the soundtrack out of She-Hulk, the music, I don't even recall it. It's probably fine. The visuals were interesting, right? Like, because it's the animation. It's She-Hulk. I never saw that. That's pretty cool. But like the dialogue of how they're developing, if I just heard that on audiobook, I'd be like, this is uninteresting. Like, where's the story development?
Right.
Where's the character? So like in She-Hulk, the dialogue was like a C+, and the visuals were like a B- or an A- or whatever you want to put it. But like, what I'm saying is, in this show, you could take each of it independently.
What did you do now, Larry?
Nothing. You see me staring at it. I'm not.
Maybe it's right near you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds good.
But anyway, we're beating a dead horse.
No, so but the point is though, is you're kind of making it like, for Arcane, everything together is an A+. Separated, and each individual part is like maybe a B. So that's my point. It's like I don't. You need everything to make it this big, grander thing.
But my argument is that you take every other show we watch, and the total might be an A, not even an A+, and then you put them together to separate them, and they're all C's and C-.
I agree.
So that's what I'm saying. So like, the pieces all together make the best composition.
In Arcane, the pieces start out higher.
The pieces all start out. That's
B+,
basically
A-,
what I'm saying.
right. I got you. I hear you. All right. It's a Netflix show, so we have no idea what the cost and
Right.
what the,
we
their
don't
intake is going to be.
But
So
speaking
there's
of
no way
Netflix, though, I will give credit to Netflix. They are fucking phenomenal. But the Netflix original shows, obviously the anime is fucking
And they're
really
not
good.
usually into animation. They chose to fund a second season of this.
Yeah.
Netflix
Netflix is kind of seeing the writing on the wall. I got to give them a lot of credit because
Well, they had to because they were going shit for a while.
Right.
Because everybody was pulling their content, like The Office, and like that, because everybody's going to their own
so
streaming.
they had to come up to the original.
So like, fuck, we need to stay alive. They need to come up with a lot of their own
They
stuff.
did a good job of that.
The only thing I'll fault them on, sometimes they cut things a little too short. Like they pull stuff and you know what I mean, that people are starting to dig.
What was the one that they pulled recently?
Like Jupiter, whatever the hell it was.
Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, it's like people like were getting into it. People were getting into it, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not going to do this anymore." Like, fuck. I mean, I think in some ways they don't give it enough. But and I get it monetarily. Like, we can't afford big losses
too much
because it's
investment.
a lot to make something on your own like that.
A lot of it is, and the reason why I know this is because I was just looking it up. After I just finished watching, which I've talked about last couple episodes, is The Fall of the House of Usher. Fucking phenomenal show. Started watching one of the other shows made by the same group of people, which is The Midnight Club. The creator, what was it, Flanagan?
Yeah.
Mike Flanagan, he created those 5 shows for Netflix and fucking phenomenal. Amazon just scooped him up. So I think that part of the reason why we're dropping
Amazon soon.
So part of the thing that's happening with Netflix is they are coming out with some good original content,
and then they're
only signing their people to like 2-3 contracts
short deals
because they're not sure.
They don't have Amazon money.
And then
but that's the problem. You don't know now who's a good writer and who's not a good writer until they've done
something. We can't keep you because this other company just offered you fucking 5 times the amount, and I don't fucking blame you. So, but I gotta give you. But I was thinking about that after I watched Arcane. I went, good for Netflix, man. Like they coming out with some. Like I mean, we have Master of the Universe on there too. So
which we're gonna do next week.
Yeah. So I mean, right?
Can't wait.
I mean,
we're gonna review Revolution and Revelation, or Revelation and Revolution.
We did 2-parter, right?
We did 2-part of that episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna record all like in one day, but we're gonna split it up into 2 episodes.
But I mean, I have to give Netflix credit for again, like you said, Marco, I mean, they had to do something, but they saw the writing on the wall, and they're just not throwing shit at it, right? They're like, because they don't have that Amazon money, or even that Marvel money that just or Disney rather.
Yeah.
They're like, if we're gonna do something, we need to make sure it fucking hits. So to carry on. So I gotta give kudos to Netflix just for that alone.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the ratings. Who wants to go first? Mila? Great.
I'm gonna go.
This is great for podcasting.
Yes, the dead air is always wonderful.
I'm probably gonna go with a 4 1/4.
4.25. All right, I like it, Mila.
Good content.
Larry, Bruno, we're skipping you. We're going over to Larry.
Now, why don't we do you first?
Because Bruno's just gonna break the fucking chart.
It might balance out.
Yeah.
So why don't you go?
Nice. I'm at a 3.75. I really like it. It lost me a little bit in the middle. I had my issues with them killing off the whole group, but I get why they did it. But you get attached. It's like episode 3. Like, don't get too attached. We're all gone. Yeah. Like that's a tough one to swallow.
Well, I think
for me, but I get it. I understand why they had to do it.
We learned a little bit from Game of Thrones, right? Like if you,
I never watched all that.
That was too much.
I never watched all that. I know that was like don't get used to anybody.
If you got to almost kill off a beloved character a little bit just to create some.
Yeah.
God, I love killing characters.
Worse than Breaking Bad. Like, don't get too used to this person. They're not going to be here long. Yeah.
Because how many times have you watched a show and there's like 5 core characters, you're like, oh no, Joey's stuck in the well again. Like, Joey's going to get out of the fucking well. Like, there's no question. We're not, that's absolutely going to happen.
Is Joey stuck in the well? Joey's stuck in the well again.
Yeah, there's God damn it, Joey. But the fact that you can occasionally kill somebody keeps the viewer on edge. You're like, oh, maybe he's going to die.
Yeah.
Could this be the end of the, this guy in the show?
I like when they make, especially near the beginning of a show, if they make this statement of a character, we allow characters to die here. Yep.
Okay.
A show that will go, we will kill characters, and you go, oh, so there's stakes, you know?
Okay. Walking Dead was like that at the beginning, right? Like there was that in The Walking Dead. That's why people really like that show too.
Exactly.
Like you right from the get go, they're like, we're gonna kill off main characters.
Fuck
you don't
that
know
show.
who. Well, by the end of it, it was definitely. But the beginning, I really dug the first few seasons. Then it got really long in the tooth. But that's what that was built on. It's like you don't know who's gonna die. I mean, there were a couple of core characters you knew were never gonna die, otherwise the show would have gone to hell. But all the other peripheral characters, like
some characters that did, and then it did go to hell. You know?
you know what I mean. So it did. So, but anyway, that's so I'm at 3 points. At Larry, we're gonna end off on a high note, so we're gonna go to Larry next. Which is why I like to end the podcast on a high note, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that would be a good thing then, because 2.75.
Damn.
Reckon the curve.
Less than a 3.
Less than a
Less than 3, because honestly, like I always say, three's my base if I'd watch it again. Probably wouldn't watch it again.
All right.
I mean, there's a lot of things
I'm gonna watch it again when season 2 comes out, so I can just refresh, because it's gonna be so long.
Yeah.
November's kind of a while.
It'll be a good
a lot of shows I don't
I
have
could rate
to.
something a 5 and not.
You know, a lot of shows I wouldn't have to rewatch a season to know what's going up next.
Well, there's a lot.
But there's a lot
that goes on.
There's so much that goes on, and there's so many characters, and there's so many arcs, and there's so much, like you said, progression of each character. You know, we'll see who's in season 2. I gotta kind of catch up. Like, what the fuck was that? What they do?
Yeah, they'll probably introduce, I'm assuming, a couple new characters.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean,
maybe from
they've got a ton of champions you can pick from, so go for it.
I mean,
go crazy.
Don't forget, Jinx
But I hope they don't go
just
too.
nuke the fucking council.
want them to
So
bring-
you know what I mean? We're gonna need new council members, I guess. It's like there's like a Die Hard.
That's the thing. Like
To be a
Jace
couple
is a main
FBI guys, I guess.
Jace
I
is a
think I
main
actually used
character in the
Jace.
game.
When he picked up the hammer, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I did that. I used that one
Yeah, I
once.
think he's the main character, one of the characters you can choose.
Yeah,
so, like,
he was
I'd be
one of like the
surprised
first
if he
characters I think
dies.
you could pick.
Yeah, I mean,
end of
certainly
this.
he's got the hex tab. I mean, he could, they can get out.
Yeah.
They see it coming. They see the fireball in the sky coming. Like, let's go.
When they show, like, you look at her back and it shines off the reflection off the moon through.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, crazy shit.
That got her oh shit.
Yeah.
It's funny. She had like another, just to add on to like that, the final scene. Like, I just wanted to mention, like, I think that's the absolute moment where she takes the name Jinx, because they're going, you know what? Yeah, let's give sovereignty to these people. You know, let's do that right now.
Yeah, the
and
irony of
while
that.
they're doing that,
Yeah.
she is actively going to fucking ruin that.
Yeah.
You know, like, no matter what
she lives
decision
up to her
she
name.
makes.
Well, the best
she's
is, I
a
mean,
Jinx,
right before she does that, is she looks at the chairs and you see she just kicks the chair to slide it around so she can sit, and it slides out and says the name Jinx.
Yeah.
You're like, yep, that's it. There's no confusion about which path she's going.
Yeah.
There's
She
no
made a
split
choice.
there's no more split personality. You're not going to see that side of it anymore. The I don't know, stop talking to me. Oh my God, I don't think you're going to see that.
I think
It's
you'll
gonna
see some of that still.
I don't think it's going to be as heavy.
Yeah, I think you'll see her a little bit.
Well, I think that part of that was the.
Is that the arc? Is that the arc? Like by the end of the series, she comes back to Powder.
No.
She's Jinx.
She's Jinx.
Oh, she's Jinx.
So that's what I'm saying. It's
But
like,
Vi's still there. You don't think, like, in a way they could just, like, you know, because there's the game.
That would suck.
But in a lot of things, like, all right, there's the game. We could stray from the game because we're doing something kind of different.
I mean,
so
I
in
could see-
a sense of, like, this is a show and people kind of, like, need her to come back. Otherwise, it just ends on a shit note.
I mean,
Either she dies or the whole fucking world dies.
I think it would do disservice to the story of Powder becoming Jinx. I think they could. Okay, don't get me wrong. You can do anything, right? But I think it would be a bad choice. I
think so too.
The reason is because, like, when you look at like madness in real life, how many people who have legitimately gone mad
you don't come back.
Yeah. Like, you don't, like, when you're broken like that. I'm not saying like if you've got.
I don't see Charles Manson going, you know what?
Yeah. When you're broken,
I'm done with
that was a mistake. Actually,
I'm all set.
Like, she has like.
It was for a bit.
She's not borderline personality disorder. She's like fully way over the line. She's took 10 steps beyond.
The line is a dot to her.
The dot doesn't even exist anymore, right? So there's no going back. So hopefully they don't, try to, save her. But I do think they're probably going to. There's a lot of meat there where you could say, like, Vi, like, if that happened to my brother, God forbid, like, I would never stop loving him. Right. I would never stop trying to help
Fighting
him,
for him,
despite the fact that maybe all he does is injure himself and the others around him, right? And so I think it'll be really interesting to see, like, how does Vi handle that? What does she do? And you're going to have like Catherine's influence, who's going to be like, she's crazy, leave her the fuck alone, kill her or whatever, right? Who's like, I don't know, Vi's like confidant, or maybe it's
Kill
like
her,
a
she's gonna
lover.
kill everybody. Yeah.
Maybe they become lovers or something. But like, you know, I think that'll be an interesting dynamic to see how do they play with that. There's a character in the game called the Hound, I think, that is somehow tied to Vi and Powder, and I hope that doesn't come back to be like Vander reincarnated or something.
Like a dog.
Like
What the fuck?
yeah. I hope not.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, that would be a bad
Ew.
choice.
So
There's a lot of, there's so much there that you could play with. There's a lot of meat here.
But I think the whole talking to herself and the different voices, I think the reason why that was so evident is because she was so torn between making this decision or that decision.
Yeah.
By her straight up saying, this is who I am. Just accepting that this is her.
Yeah.
There is no fucking talks anymore. There's no more talking to the fake Milo going, maybe she still loves me. She's like, I think by her making that decision, there's no conflict anymore.
Yeah.
This is who I am. I'm fucking Jinx. I am the bad seed. I'm the bad person. This is what's happening. So maybe it'll come here and there, but I don't think it'll be as evident as you saw throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Although the thing is, she still might have delusions of what's going on around her.
Oh, yeah.
Because the thing is, a lot of it, like half of it was like, am I like Powder? Am I Jinx? But there was a whole other half of it of like us like taking something out of context and obsessing over it, you know, and then twisting it, you know, like
Or
there's a whole other half to like what else she was like wigging out about.
You saw that a little bit when she did the flare. Right, when the flare, then she shows up, and then she started, like, that whole scene where those guys are flying around her, she's firing the gun.
And of course you have to have a back-to-back in every action movie, right?
Oh, you gotta have the back-to-back. There it is again, right?
Back-to-back.
That was amazing. I was like, yup.
Yes.
That was good.
But like when she's got that fucking Gatling gun, and she's like, "Roar!" And you could see like the rage. It was therapeutic for her. And like, I want to see more of that. I want to see her feel powerful. I want to see her feel like I can have
because
impact.
you have those same issues. We figured this out.
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah. I have some major rage issues that I don't talk about. It all comes from the
Power
upbringing.
trip with the Gatling gun.
This goes way back.
Way fucking deep.
This goes way back.
Fucking box. Let's keep it in the box.
Goes way
Keep it in the box.
I unleash the beast when I'm competing in athletics. That's that's got to be my therapy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking spiking it. Fucking,
What's your
What's your
rating?
rating? Because I need a number.
Oh yeah.
And it's only out of 5.
Well, I mean, I've already broken the scale with John Wick. So.
Yeah. But we need a number.
You know, I'm gonna go 6. I'm not trying to fuck with yours. That's not the idea. Because like, until like John Wick was therapy, because it was so good. It was so well orchestrated on the screen. Like
it was
you
very well
looked at
crafted,
it, and it was like a symphony. Everything was perfect. And for me, this was perfect in a different way. It was, the writing was finally like, it filled my writing cup. Like I've been thirsting.
Yeah, you have.
For
you have.
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah, you have.
And the amount of times we've sat here and you've gone like,
The fucking writing!
Why can't they just make a good
it's
character?
fucking garbage.
Is
And
it that hard?
This filled me up. It was just, the writing was so good. And then like the music and the orchestration and the visuals were just absolutely, they took the time to do it right, and I really, really appreciate a job done right. Like, my wife jokes with me. She's like, "Yeah, did you do that thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did it." And I'm like, "Do you want to check it?" And she's like, "No, I know that if you did it, you went overboard. You did it more than right." And I was like, "Yeah," because like what I do it. I probably am too much. Like if I'm building, like I built a deck 10 years ago, that thing's never going to come down. Like it is over-engineered.
The house and it's just a deck there.
Yeah, it's over-engineered. I have too many fasteners, like everything, right? Like you know. And so for me, like if you're gonna do it right. And there was a quote in John Wick Continental when Winston goes, no, it wasn't Winston. It was the bad guy, the French guy, that goes, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And that resonated with me because it's like, look, if you walk around your house and there's shit everywhere, that's how you do everything.
Yeah.
That's how you fucking operate. If you're like, if you like go, let's say you're like, I'm going to clean the window because it's got dirt on the window. So like for me, if I'm going to clean the window, I'll fucking spray the window down. I get 3 or 4 sheets. I clean it again. I look from the side, make sure it's clean, get any lint, and it's done. It's done. I didn't miss a fucking inch.
Pull out the squeegee.
But if you're like, but I know people who are like, like 3 or 4 wipes.
That's good enough.
If you look at it from the side, there's a corner
Still
that's
wet,
still dirty.
yeah.
There's another corner that's wet. There's a third, and to me, that is how you're going to do everything, right?
Yeah.
So it was almost like in a job interview. I'd be like, "Can you just clean that window for me? I just want to see how you're going to do the rest of the job, like involved."
Is that part of your job interview process when you interview people?
No, but it should be, right?
It should be. So just quick.
Like as for an electrician, I'm like, here, wire this box, and you'll be like, do you know how, is it the right length? Are you clean it? Are you rolling it up? Like all of that shit. And you can tell. Good. It doesn't take much. Like as a coach, I coach volleyball, I coach soccer. Like you can tell in 30 seconds of watching an athlete move and do whatever, whether they're gonna have, decent skills or whether they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So you know how to sort of clean them up. But like you just look at how sloppy they are in their execution, and you can see a lot of it, and you can see that with anything. So for me, this was like execution at the top level. Like they took the time, like Marco said, they postponed the release by a year, which is fucking crazy. Like I can't believe Netflix was okay with that.
That's money.
Yeah,
that's their money.
And then when it came out, it was just a smash hit. So like I appreciate that. I am grateful for that. I'm happy that they did that. I wish I could send them a note to say, you know what, guys, you guys did
with a heart next to your
this
name
the right way, and I appreciate
smells like perfume.
I appreciate all the hard work.
Lipstick on the envelope,
and I throw maybe lipstick in there,
a pair of Burroughs panties,
and maybe a condom to make it weird. But like that shit is important, right?
Fucking FBI shows up at Burroughs' house again.
Take some pride in your work, man. That's where I'm coming from.
I haven't seen this guy since he was a little kid.
And then I'm raging. You didn't respond to my letter. I'm becoming an evil villain. And that's
a complete fucking stand moment.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Just one snub.
Yeah.
So overall, it was a 4.18. In case anybody was doing the math.
Nice.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who the fuck let Larry start doing the math? But okay.
I wanted to see what the average was. Mr. 6
No, I like it.
1.275. It bounces out, comes out to a 4.
I like it. I like it a lot. That was awesome. That was really good. I'm glad we did that one. Again, it's not something I would have picked on my own.
No, I appreciate
I'm not
you
a
guys
huge anime
humoring me.
person, but like, no, I did. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we did. Just like nobody. I'm like, I really appreciated that the pick on this one. It was a pretty awesome pick.
Yeah, this has been on my list for a long
confused,
time.
Larry.
I just never got around to it. So I was like, finally, a reason to watch this show.
Yeah.
I'm going to send the guys at Marvel a link to this show and be like, here's a masterclass here.
Yeah,
Watch
just watch this a couple times.
Learn.
Yeah, learn. Send that over to Disney. So, next week we're going to work on Revelation. Revelation, and then the following week will be Revolution. So we're going to do a 2-parter. Pretty awesome. Pretty psyched about that. He-Man's going to be awesome. Go back to the old days. That was just a fan service show, like front to back. Other things, I started watching The Last Airbender on Netflix. So
I keep hearing different things from different people.
It's definitely a mixed bag. I love the original cartoon, and a lot of it plays into the original cartoon, but like a lot of things, it's going to vary off and change the storyline a bit. So you either have to be okay with that, or don't fucking watch it.
So a question for you:
it's way better.
How
than
far into it are you?
3 or 4 episodes in.
Okay, so like small changes, and I've gone over this too. Like if you need to cut things out of the story to shorten it up because of the medium and whatever.
No, they're extending some stuff.
If you take some major left-hand turns, like. You gotta get a really good decision. Like you have good reasons, to totally change the story. And I'm okay with that.
Like so far, the stuff they've done, a couple of the characters they change a little bit, or their motivations, things like that. Okay, you gotta kind of make it work.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. I mean, it was a cartoon, even though it was
originally
aimed at
comics,
kids.
right?
It was a Nickelodeon show. I don't remember if it was a comic. You might be right.
I think they made comics after the show.
Yeah, because the show was like an original Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, I remember seeing it on that.
Not a lot of
and it was
comics,
like, it's a kid's show, but like it had a sort of a, like an older person could get into it. You know what I mean? Like it was done in that intent.
Yeah.
But
it's mature.
It was a mature cartoon, but this is a live action version. There's some good acting. There's some like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Acting, like, that's kind of, phoned in a little bit.
Yeah.
Visually, it's really cool. Even though Aang's like some of the at the beginning, his airbending stuff was a little like he's flying. Like that looks weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is a mixed bag. It's definitely a mixed bag, but I liked the cartoon enough. I want to give this a chance. I will watch the entire first season and make my decision from there. So far, I am liking it. I'm not just loving it like you liked Arcane, but I'm liking it enough that it's making me keep going and watching. It's got some interesting motivations. Like Zuko, who's the main, bad guy, chasing after Aang. He's the prince, you know what I mean?
My son is getting super into the cartoon right now.
Yeah, I love the
It's
cartoon.
so
I watched every
good.
season.
The show is so good.
And I know I read up a little bit, this first whole chapter, if you will, is like the water chapter. And I hear by the end of it, like Aang doesn't even really learn to do water bending. Like, what? Like, that's kind of the point. Like, every chapter, he learns the next bending skill. Like, okay, I guess we're going to extend it a little bit because he's supposed to learn water bending by the end of this, and he doesn't. But, like, even Katara, like, if I remember correctly in the show, in the cartoon, she knew how to water bend pretty decently.
Not really.
Beginning.
She kind of sucked.
I don't remember.
She sucked at the beginning.
Well, guess what? She does in the show.
Because she was only...
And she gets better. Aang teaches her how to... Even though he doesn't know how to water bend, he knows how to bend, so he knows the theory behind how you learn how to bend.
That is in the show.
Element.
That is kind of how it went. She sucked, and she could only really water bend sort of well when she was emotional.
Yes. Yes, that's
that was
exactly
a big
what they're
thing
doing in the show.
But it was actually, as they started to learn, like they got scrolls and stuff.
Yeah.
They learned together.
Yeah.
So they were on par the whole time. But he started to get ahead of her at some point.
Because the Avatar.
Right, yeah, of course. He kind of has to. It's kind of his job,
He's got more of a natural ability.
Eventually, she does like whip forwards, through,
which
going
is great. I mean,
stuff.
like I said, that part's really cool. I mean, and you can't even compare it to the movie, the M. Night Shyamalan crap hole that was.
Yeah, they really screwed it up. They screwed it on that.
One Delio, I'm sure, wants to chop off his resume, but it's just it's there. The Appa's in it, fucking awesome. Momo's in it. The little monkey fucking bat, whatever the hell it is, he's in it. It's pretty cool. You watch them flying on Appa, and they're sitting in the big, the big thing on his back, and they're just having their conversations, like flying through the air. Like, that stuff's pretty cool. The fire bending, the bending shit's really cool.
That's cool.
It's really cool looking visuals. Everybody's wearing their actual costumes that very much represent the cartoon. So again, it's good. It's the Asian influence, right? It's there. It's kind of a weird position. They're not leaning into like everybody having like this very deep Asian accents, almost like where they're making fun of the stereotype. It kind of, in some cases, went too far the other way, and it kind of takes you out. Like, they're just too like, just English, American accent. They're kind of just talking like goofs. You're like, I almost wish they had some kind of an accent and played a little bit more into their heritage. Like,
depending on like the location,
Yeah, it'd be like Zuko's uncle.
Oh, he doesn't. I mean? Oh, yeah, he had an accent in the show.
Oh, he totally did. Because I think it's like one of like James Hong or somebody famous that we know about who played the character. Not in this one. He sounds like a
Some
goob.
Dude.
He sounds like a goob. You know what I mean? He's goofy and he's just like, I don't know. So that's kind of like every once in a while the accents and stuff kind of bump you out. Yeah. Or
lack thereof.
Yeah, the lack thereof. Kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, like Aang didn't, Aang, in the show because it was easier. It's easier to be a kid's cartoon in America if they just don't have those kind of accents, right? They all sound like the kids who are watching it for the most part. So that's why. But I don't know. Like, there's that new movie Shogun coming out, which looks fucking incredible.
That's the show that I want to watch. That's
it's subtitled. I mean, it's in Japanese.
Coming out on the 27th.
It looks incredible.
Oh, wow.
The guy who plays the main character, the guy who played the Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
He's fucking crazy. I saw an interview with him. Like, it looks amazing.
The whole thing isn't it, though, in subtitles?
Well, the parts that they've shown so far, like the trailers that are shown.
Yeah, the teaser trailers.
When he's on there, that's all subtitles, stuff like that. So I don't know. And even if it is, I don't care. If it is, fine.
You took my fire.
I'm sorry.
Damn you.
I'm sorry.
I've been selling that for the last 3 episodes. I can't wait until that comes out.
So, that looked amazing. So I'm really looking forward to catching that when it comes. When did you say it's coming out?
The 27th.
27th, yeah.
Yeah, Shogun. It's about 16th century feudal Japan. It's based off of a novel. They came out in the 70s. They did already a miniseries in the 80s. So this is
I remember the Shogun series.
Yeah, so it's that. You know, I mean, that's what I was just looking up here. Like, I can't wait for that to come out. X-Men 97's coming out.
X-Men 97's coming out. Looks
wait for
badass. And then the last thing not last thing, but the one of the things, not including Deadpool and Wolverine, that we already talked about that. Ghostbusters. It's March 22nd. I think it's coming out. Frozen Empire.
What?
The new Ghostbusters movie.
They're making another one.
Part 4. Well,
Remember the
part 4.
What did we watch? What was it called?
We called Afterlife.
With Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
With Paul Rudd.
Yes, yeah.
Making a new one.
Another one.
It's a continuation.
Everybody's back, including Annie Potts, who's now in a Ghostbusters uniform. So I think that's fucking awesome. She's in it. Everybody, Bill Murray's in it. Jen Aykroyd's in it. Winston's in it.
Ghostbusters again.
Oh, it looks good. It looks good.
But it's not a remake, though.
No,
right.
it's just
That's
another,
good.
It's not a remake. It's literally part 4.
It's got Paul Rudd. He's a
All right.
Ghostbuster. The girl. You know what I mean?
I'll give it a shot.
Did you watch part 3? Or
Afterlife.
All right, so that's
you never saw
why.
Afterlife.
So we watched
you
it
should.
and then we podcasted about it.
Oh yeah.
I
I forgot that you weren't there.
He wasn't there for that. It was good because we all had that same idea, like, oh man.
Well, after the last reboot remake thing that sucked.
Right.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was horrible. But this is literally a continuation after 2.
It's a story.
Ignores the stupid remake.
Okay.
It's a continuation after 2. Afterlife is years later. It's many years later. Egon's had a granddaughter and
Yeah.
It's that.
Okay.
And it's really fucking good. And this
All
is
right,
a
I'll give it a
continuation from
shot.
there.
Yeah.
So it continues the original storyline.
Okay.
And everybody who's alive is back in it, with the exception of Rick Moranis. I'm really hoping he shows up at some point. If they
Well,
make
I saw an interview with him where he said he retired.
Yeah, his wife.
he retired
Did
years
his wife
ago,
passed
though.
away. I think his wife passed away from like a cancer, something like that. So he's been like taking care of the family, taking care of the kids. I think.
I get confused because him and Martin Short, they both retired for the same reason.
Yeah,
Martin
yeah.
Short stopped
I
acting.
know Rick Moranis did because he just wanted to take care of his family
Right.
and just like get away. He got away from Hollywood. He's done like 1 or 2 things like recently, just kind of dipped his toe. But for the most part, he's like been retired for a long time. But if there's something that could get him out of retirement, I think it would be this. I hope it would be this. You know.
But no. And here's a question that we always ask, like when they bring up old characters. Do you want to see the character just for nostalgia,
Yes.
or because? So it's strictly
Yeah.
just for nostalgia. Okay,
Sure.
done.
Other than that, he's got no reason
Well,
to be
there's
there.
that. Wrap that
The same
up.
with Annie
All right.
Potts. Like same with Annie Potts. Like okay, yeah, she. I mean, really, what reason? She was a secretary.
Yeah.
What reason does she, have to be there? But it's fucking cool to see her come back for one more throw at it and,
One little
add
run.
add her special whatever fun humor whatever it is to it. All right, got the gang back together. All right, we can't get Egon obviously. Rest in peace, Harold Ramis. But to get everybody else back in while they're still kicking around, like it's fun.
I'm just in
Fun, one more
agreement to
time.
want to do it.
As long as it's not an Indiana Jones, like it's fine.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Right? As long as it's not Dial of Destiny. So, it's all right. I don't mind that. But I'll go on this with Bruno because I already told you two this, that, it took me a long time to figure that out. The Rick Moranis thing in the original movie.
Yeah.
You remember the original movie?
Yep.
Rick Moranis, right?
Yep.
He's in his apartment. He's in the building. And every time he goes out of his apartment to go talk to Dana, what happens? He gets locked out
Right.
of his apartment.
Yeah.
He's the keymaster.
Oh, yeah.
The building was fucking with him the whole time. Like, that was kind of a play for the audience to see if you could figure it out. The keymaster keeps getting locked out of his own fucking apartment throughout the whole movie.
Did that just come out? Like, did they just release that, or do you?
No,
was
like
that
people
something-
figured it out over time. Like, oh shit! Like and people there's always fan theories. Like maybe people
that
just kind of
sounds
put it
a little
together.
fan theory-ish.
No, but it's totally like but yeah,
it
but it makes
tracks,
sense.
though.
Like it
It
totally
does track.
tracks. Like
It does track.
It's either just they just did that for fun.
Yeah.
Like they just did that as a goof, or was it the building fucking with him? Because the building had its life as its own because of what it was and how it was made.
I mean, I
And it was a
think
conduit
it's
for
cool,
everything.
I think it's a cool fan theory.
I personally think it was just more of a goof. Like they did that just sort of like a fun thing.
Yeah, personally, I feel like it was a movie written in the 80s to just make some fucking money and they were just goofing around. Like, I don't think there's a lot of deep stuff going on.
I think that was deep. I think they did that on purpose.
All right.
Otherwise, like, really, what's the point? It's a fun gag.
It's a sight gag.
It's a funny gag.
It's just a gag.
But you keep doing it. It happened to him multiple times.
Yeah, because then you're like, what the fuck? And he's like, what the fuck? And
But then he becomes the keymaster.
Yeah.
You keep getting locked out. So
That's
that's
funny.
just a side note. Anyway, all right, gang. There we go. We're at an hour and 33. I think this is a good place to wrap it
think
up.
we're good.
We fucking crushed it, all right? Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. Hopefully you get to watch Arcane. If you have it on Netflix, go look at it, go stream it. And let us know what you thought of Arcane. Did you love it? Was it a 1 point, whatever the fuck, Larry? Was it a
2.75?
Was it a 17 like Bruno? What'd you think? 18. Let us know what you thought.
18 out of 3.
Reach out to us online at engageinentertainmentrants.com. Check us out on our social media at Entertainment Rants. Drop us a line on Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you thought of the show. And again, we are brought to you by the Subculture Podcast Network. Go find all the shows that we produce online at bio.link/subculturepod network. What are we going to go out there and do, everybody?
Rant, let's rant.
Rants.
Been real, Cupcake.